Shop the Sherwin-Williams Labor Day sale and get 35% off paints and stains August 22nd through September 4th. With prices starting at $31.84, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Roll Tide, roll, as this is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, we have done 12 of the 16 SEC previews, and tonight, number 13 is going to be all about the Alabama Crimson Tide as they went 9-4 last year in Kalen DeBoer's first year here at Alabama. How will they do in 2025? And we will also get an update on the running back Jam Miller, who was injured in the practice on Saturday, as Joe Gaither is going to join us coming up here in just a little bit on this edition of the Stingray Show, as this is the Alabama football preview show for 2025.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Those of you on Tide 100.9, look out. You're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. You know, Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, Stingray, here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain to you. It looks good, kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah, but then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, to everyone in Tuscaloosa listening here on Tide 100.9. With the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And with that, we want to welcome you inside the Alabama preview show just after Hey Coach gets off the air right here in Tuscaloosa. And Heath, no better way to keep the talk going than talking about the Crimson Tide after Chris Stewart just got off the air with Hey Coach here at Baumhauer's.
It's like you planned that or something, Stephen.
Yes.
No, looking at Crimson Tide, I know a lot of people were disappointed last year, but look at the high marks. Look at the high marks that happened last year, especially that win against Georgia early in the season.
Yep.
You know, there's good things coming to this program. There's great things coming to this program. Is it Nick Saban? No. Is it ever going to be Nick Saban again? No. Mm-hmm. Is there ever going to be anyone like Nick Saban ever again? No. Just like there was never another Bear Bryant, and there never will be.
Right.
You just have to move forward with life.
Yep.
And I don't want to hear like, well, we want a dynasty. Well, everybody wants a dynasty. Mm-hmm. Does Ohio State want one? Does Michigan want one? Does LSU want one? Does Florida want one? Everybody wants a dynasty.
Yep.
So that plays on deaf ears. I'm not going to listen to it. And anyone that says it, you're an idiot. With that being said, you have to grow forward in this crazy world of NIL and transfer portal.
Yep.
And we're all in this together. We all hate it, but this is what we got.
Heath, looking back at last year and the Kalen DeBoer system, year one, Jalen Milroe was really Jekyll and Hyde in that offense because he looked phenomenal. I mean, absolutely phenomenal against Georgia at home, LSU on the road. And then he turned out performances where you scratch your head, like at Vanderbilt, then against at Oklahoma, and then at Tennessee, where it's like, you made that throw? Really? Where were you going to? So really, last year was Mr. Jekyll and Hyde of Jalen Milroe and that offense, and that's what ultimately cost them down the stretch, in my opinion.
Well, new quarterbacks and new systems. I mean, it's like playing a freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, mistakes are going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's irritating, That's why with the transfer portal, I kind of laugh at these quarterbacks coming in. Some people are excited. And I'm like, new quarterback, new system? I don't know.
Right.
Then you look at a guy like John Mateer at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
His coordinator from Washington State comes to Oklahoma. John Mateer gets in the transfer portal, ends up at Oklahoma. So he knows the system. But guess what? Everybody around him doesn't know it.
Yes.
So there's still going to be some hiccups and things, So the people that threw Jalen Milroe under the bus, look, I understand your frustration. I do. I get it. I understand. But do I think Jalen Milroe was a terrible person or a terrible quarterback or an idiot? Look, the guy was making plays right and left the year before.
Yeah.
It was a new system, and some of those mistakes weren't his, and that's what you got to get through your thick skull. And that's why I get so mad. Look, I used to be a quarterback, kind of, so I was a backup quarterback. But quarterbacks get way too much blame, and they get way too much credit. They really do. And so with that, that's why I'm kind of taking up for Jalen a little bit, because I heard so many Bama fans, it's time for Jalen to go. It's time for him to go.
Yeah.
Like, could you just shut up? Sit down and shut up. You don't know one flipping thing about football. So shut your dirty mouth and eat it. So that's how I felt about that. The people that badmouth Jalen, I don't have any sympathy for you. You're an idiot.
Well, Heath, they are going to get somebody new taking over for Alabama this year. That is going to be Ty Simpson. He has sat behind and he has waited his turn. Now he gets the opportunity to run that Alabama offense, and it all begins in a couple of weeks at Florida State. And that will be a test for him down there taking on the Noles, his first actual start being on the road at an ACC environment.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun. The one thing that I will really point to that no one's really pointing to with Kalen DeBoer, look at the transfer portal. How many guys went out? Not many.
No.
Not many at all. That tells you that team loves and adores their coach.
Yes.
Team is screaming, we believe in this man and what's being built. So people who still have question marks, hey, you can have all the question marks you want.
Yeah.
But the players are on board.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing with this team is that no one really jumped in that transfer portal and headed out. And look at just that handful that did. Was it for opportunity? I would say yes.
Now, I will tell you there is one problematic thing that is coming into this season, and that happened last Saturday in the scrimmage. Running back Jam Miller dislocated his collarbone, and he will be missing the first few games of the season with that collarbone injury. Now it is up to somebody else in the running back position to step up and take the reins because Jam Miller will not be there.
Yeah. Steven, we all fit our funny bone. It hurts. But sometimes you hit your collarbone just right, it hurts. Could you imagine dislocating that?
No.
Yikes.
Yes.
Yikes. You got to be tough to handle that.
Right.
I have a lot of sympathy for I have a lot of sympathy for football players, period, when it comes to injuries. I mean, what they have to play through and play with, that's the hardest thing. But look, this isn't your older brother's Nick Saban teams where you got this huge room of running backs. You're like, oh, it's okay, we just got another guy. Look, the transfer portal's taking that away from everybody.
Right.
And so that's the hard thing to look at. And is Bama going to miss this? Yes. Are they going to be hurting tremendously? No. Would it be better if he was around? Yes. So with that, you want to be as healthy as you can be each and every game. But you know what? If you want to miss somebody, I would kind of take it at the beginning of the season, then in the middle of the hard stretch, that 3-game stretch, or there toward the end of the season.
So we are going to continue our talks about the Alabama Crimson Tide, because when we come back, we are going to be joined by Joe Gaither of Bama Central to dive into the season for Alabama. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back. Joe.
Hey guys, I'm sorry. We've had a busy day. I just finished mine for the day.
Dude, I like the glasses.
Thank you. Try to keep a little flavor on the show, and it helps me say whatever I want to say.
Residents of Tuscaloosa, are you guys upsizing, downsizing, looking for college housing, or even relocating for your job right here to Tuscaloosa? If that's the case, then you need to contact Celeste Hagler, owner and operator of First Class Real Estate South Home Group right here in Tuscaloosa. She can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Reach out to Celeste again at 205-861-5698 and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals and to live where you love in the state of Alabama. It's dinner time, West Alabama, and if you are craving fried catfish with tartar sauce on a grilled bun, or maybe even a fried chicken tender with Swiss cheese, grilled onions, and an avocado spread on French bread, that sandwich is called the Jose, then you need to check out the Coker Market, which is located at the four-way intersection just off County Road 140 in Coker, Alabama. Their hours of operation is Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. Go by and check out the Coker Market off of County Road 140 there in Coker, Alabama for community goods and wonderful barbecue. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
You're listening to the home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports. Tide 100.9.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show, and we are about to get to our special guest of the evening, and that, of course, is Joe Gaither from Bama Central, as he is going to join us to talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide, who are coming off a 9-4 season in Kalen DeBoer's first year here at Alabama. Joe, how are things with you this evening?
Oh, man, it's been a great day. We're, 11 days now from kicking off the season, and fall camp is winding down, so things are great, and I'm really, really excited about the 25 season.
So, Joe, if you would briefly for us recap that 9-4 season last year and give us your thoughts on what went wrong for Alabama, especially on the road at Oklahoma late in that season.
I'm not sure that a whole lot went wrong. I think it was just natural progression from one coach to another. And 9-3, not a whole. I mean, it's bad in Alabama for Alabama standards. It was. It didn't live up to the Crimson Tide standard of basically national championship or bust. But I think that really Coach DeBoer did a good job in keeping the roster together. You did see some guys go in the transfer portal as soon as Coach Saban announced his retirement. But I think that you did a good job keeping the roster together. And I think that what went wrong in that Oklahoma game was maybe just a team that was out of gas by the end of that because of all the things that they dealt with in the offseason and getting themselves to a point to play in the 2024 season. Learning a new offense, learning a new defense, everybody coming together, trusting the coaching staff, trusting each other. By the time you were out at Oklahoma, I mean, you did have some offensive tendencies that were on tape, and I think the Oklahoma defense did a pretty good job dealing, kind of predicting some of that. You had some effort issues. Obviously, you had Kobe Prentice missed a block on a screen that turned into an interception that took you all the way down to the goal line. The defense played okay, but they did give up the long drive to Jackson Arnold where it was just over and over and over, running quarterback over and over and over again. But really, I think the team just kind of ran out of steam by the end of the year. And you really saw it in the bowl game against Michigan. You were never really in that bowl game and kind of got pushed around on both sides of the ball. So really, I think that's what – I think that if you had to espouse one thing that went wrong is the team just dealt with so much transition through spring, Coach Saban retiring, hiring a new coach, dealing with transfer portal, who's leaving, who's staying, and, can we get guys in the spring transfer portal window after DeBoer's first spring? Just a whole lot of circumstances to deal with, and by the end of it, I think the team was a bit out of gas.
Joe, coming into this season, what is your biggest concern for Alabama? Is it a position group? Is it depth? What is it in your mind?
My biggest concern for Alabama coming into this year is the offensive line. Will the offensive line live up to the hype? You got a lot of hype going into this year, and you've had hype for the last handful of years going into the seasons. But Alabama, really going back to the 2020 season, has had you've had good quality offensive linemen, but you haven't had a really outstanding unit. And so you've got quality offensive linemen this year in Caden Proctor and Parker Brailsford. Do you have a quality unit? Do you have a quality group of five? It seems like Cam Dewberry has asserted himself as the starting left guard, transferring in from Texas A&M. You seem like Wilkin Formby has asserted himself as the starting right tackle. We saw him last year really, really struggle at times and basically lose the position battle to Elijah Pritchett, who ended up transferring out. So can he step into that role and be a quality right tackle? And who's going to play right guard? We all thought it was going to be Jaden Roberts going into fall camp, but Jaden Roberts has dealt with some injury issues, dealt with a bit of a concussion, and you're seeing Gino Vandermark, you're seeing Olasa Lennon, you're seeing a lot of guys take a swing at right guard. It seems like it's going to be Gino Vandermark to get the season started. And you hear all the right things about him, but really, will the unit gel as a group of five? Everybody's making this about Ty Simpson and can he be, Alabama's starting quarterback and how will he play and this, that, and the other. But with the holes on the offensive line, anybody can play quarterback and it's going to be trouble. So I'm wondering how these new players will fit into the offensive line. Will Jaden Roberts get healthy and retake the starting right guard spot? Will Wilkin Formby and will Cam Dewberry step into their new roles and play well enough to really make it a group of five, not just, hey, you've got a potential top 10 pick in Caden Proctor and probably a second round pick in Parker Brailsford. What about the other three?
So, Joe, if you would, this past Saturday, there was a major injury for Alabama as Jam Miller went down in the scrimmage. Please give us an update on what you've heard about the injury to Jam Miller.
Seems like he had an injury on Saturday that initially did not look so bad. He played kind of played through it a bit, but by the end of Saturday, I think he was getting reevaluated, and they said, "Oh, this is a little worse than we thought. This isn't just a bump or a bruise." It sounds like he dislocated his shoulder, dislocated his collarbone. Didn't break it, but dislocated it. And he told some reporters today that there wasn't a real surgery. It was just a procedure to get it back into place. So not overly concerned about his outlook as far as what he's going to be for what it's going to be for the year, but he is going to be sidelined at least for this Florida State game and probably the first 3 games as well. You got a bye week after your ULM and Wisconsin home games. So I think Jam Miller is not as bad as it could have been. It's not a break, is what we were told. It's not a broken collarbone, so that's a little bit longer of a timeline. But he is going to miss some time. Today he was out at an event on campus and had his shoulder. This is Monday, this is Tuesday. He had an event on campus and he had his shoulder just really wrapped up and told the reporter that it feels better. He said, "Oh, it feels better now that it's back in place." So I think that really, on Sunday morning when we woke up and Bama Central broke the news, our man Will Miller broke the news on late Saturday night. When I woke up to Will's story on Sunday, I thought, "Oh, that's not good. That's bad stuff." But now that it is Tuesday afternoon, we've heard from different people, and Jam's spoken himself to reporter Alex Booth, WVUA, that I think you feel better about it. I think he's going to be in a good spot, and you're going to be able to get through these first 3 games and hopefully get him back for that Georgia matchup.
So let's stay right there with the running back position, because we just talked about the injury to Jam Miller. Who do you have stepping up, and what does that room look like now with him being sidelined for a little while?
Well, if you could afford an injury at any place, I think running back is probably one of the places that you would have picked, because you're looking at Richard Young, you're looking at Daniel Hill, and you're looking at Dre Washington. You bring Dre Washington in from the transfer portal out of Louisiana, and you've heard nothing but good things about him as far as his ability to really move and shake. I think that he is. I think he has a really strong vision, and I think he is a hard runner. The biggest question for really all 3 of them is pass protection. Will you have adequate pass protection? Because I think that's a place where Jam really shined brighter than the other 3. We've seen Richard Young break out some big runs last year. He wasn't obviously, he was kind of the 3rd running back last year in a room that that got neglected due to Jalen Milroe's runs. But you had Richard Young basically serve as Justice Hill and Jam Miller's 3rd running back. I think Richard is a really strong runner as well. But I'm really excited about Daniel Hill. I think even before the Jam Miller injury, you were looking at Daniel Hill and Dre Washington carving out really big roles in this offense. And maybe Richard Young was kind of an odd man out, which is kind of weird to say considering how much he contributed last season. So you've got 3 running backs who all are very highly touted. And I think that Daniel Hill is going to really impress some people this year with his combination of size, speed, his agility. Apparently he's a really good receiver out of the backfield. I think that Alabama's in fine shape at the running back position. The biggest concern these couple of weeks is, will they be adequate in pass protection? Because we knew a really strong pass protector. We'll find out if these other 3 can fill that role as well.
So we are up against another break, and when we come back, we are going to continue to talk about the Alabama offense and then get to the defense. That's on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Stingray Show. We will be right back on the Alabama Preview Show. Hey, you, looking to upgrade your ride? Alabama One has you covered with auto loan rates as low as 3.99 APR, up to $500 cash back, and the best part, no payments for 90 days. That's right. Buy or refinance and keep the cash in your pocket while you drive the ride you want. But But hurry, this limited time offer ends October the 31st. You can apply today at alabama1.org or by calling 1-800-225-0110. Once again, auto loan rates as low as 3.99 APR, up to $500 cash back, and no payments for 90 days. Remember, Alabama One together. South's Finest Meats is offering a great bundle this week through August the 26th. That is bagged leg quarters and pork spare ribs for $39.95. Let me read that again to you guys. 3-pack of pork spare ribs along with a 10-pound bag of bagged leg quarters for $39.95. Go by South's Finest Meats today at 3201 10th Avenue and make sure you take advantage of some of their great sales through August the 26th. It's dinner time, West Alabama, and if you are craving a fried chicken tender with Swiss cheese, grilled onions, and an avocado spread on French bread, that sandwich is called the Jose, then you need to check out the Coker Market, which is located at the four-way intersection just off County Road 140 in Coker, Alabama. Their hours of operation is Wednesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m. Go by and check out the Coker Market off of County Road 140 there in Coker, Alabama, for community goods and wonderful barbecue.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
Joe, as we're talking about Alabama, where do you think this offense is going to end up at season's end? Is it going to be in the top half of the SEC or the bottom half of the SEC in total offense?
I think they're going to end up in the top half of the SEC in total offense. Where did they finish last year? 2024 SEC offenses. Let's find out. I think that they're going to end up in the top half because I think it's going to be a much more balanced offense. I think that you're going to be able to lean on, let's see, Alabama was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So barely in the top half last year. In a 16-team league. I think they're going to end up in the top half again this year. Because Ty Simpson's going to be able to operate the entirety of the offense. I think by the time you opened up with kind of a 24 recap and asking about the Oklahoma game, I think by the time you were playing in that Oklahoma game, Alabama's offensive playbook was kind of figured out. I think that you'd kind of used all the offensive concepts and strategies throughout the first 7-8 weeks, and by the end of it, Oklahoma had put plenty on tape to keep you bottled up. This year, I think Ty Simpson's going to be able to operate the whole offense in the passing game, and that's going to open up the running game a bit more, the traditional running game. I know that a lot of people were upset at Alabama's inability to run the football consistently with the running backs, and I think that was due to maybe some inadequacy in the passing game. With Ty's ability to throw the football, read the field, and basically work through his progressions, I think it's going to keep defenses much more honest in the running game, and you're going to have a much better balance. And due to that, Alabama will be in the top half of the SEC in total offense.
Welcome back inside the Stingray Show. This is the Alabama preview show, and our guest this evening is Joe Gaither from Bama Central. And Joe, if you would, go ahead and talk about what Alabama fans can expect from Ty Simpson and his style of quarterback play, because everybody here is so used to what Jalen Milroe used to do. What can we expect from Ty Simpson this year?
I think Ty Simpson, somebody asked me the other day if Stetson Bennett is a good comparison. And I got to thinking about that. I think it is probably a good comparison, but I think that his arm talent is better than Stetson Bennett, and I think his running ability is going to be a little better than Stetson Bennett. So I think Stetson Bennett plus. would be kind of where I would land it. Now, Stetson leads Georgia to 2 national championships. I'm not sure. I sure hope that Ty can do that. It'll make for a really exciting year. But I think that he's going to read the field fairly well, and he's going to not be fooled by defenses, in pre-snap. Now, you might get them in post-snap here and there. But I think that he's going to be able to read the field. And Alabama's offense has so many weapons. I mean, the wide receiver room is so loaded. Guys, it is incredibly loaded that all he's going to have to do is find the open man and deliver the football. And I think he has the talent to do that. I'm not sure if he's going to be trying to take the chunk plays all the time, but I think he will take them if Ryan Williams beats his man, if Isaiah Horton or Jeremy Bernard beats his man down the field. I think he's not going to be afraid to pull the trigger. But I think he's going to probably try to play within himself. As a coach's son, I think he's going to try to play within the offense. And, if you guys are, covering the deep shots, then we'll just take Cole Adams. We'll just take Rico Scott or any of these tight ends underneath. And then if everything's all bottled up, I don't think he's going to be too fearful about turning and checking it down to a running back. I think that Alabama fans are going to be pretty happy because really when I think about Ty Simpson, the word efficiency comes to mind. I think that he's going to hang in the pocket, give plays a chance to develop, but have a good timer in his head about, okay, time's up. I got to move and run. I think he's going to surprise some people with his running ability. I think that we'll mix in some quarterback runs throughout the year, probably not early in the year, but throughout the year, there's going to be some change-ups with some quarterback runs. They're going to be all watching all the wide receivers and watching all the running backs, and Ty's going to pull one out and run for 12 yards at the end of the game when you really need a first down. So I'm really excited about what Ty Simpson can be for this offense.
Joe, looking at this defense, I'm asking the same question, but I'm just flipping it to the other side of the ball. Is this defense going to finish in the top half or bottom half in the SEC at season's end in total defense?
Let's see. Last year, total defense, Alabama is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as well. So 7th in both categories. That's pretty ironic. 7th in both categories. I think that they will finish a little better than that. My issue with them is really have they shored up the run fits? Have they shored up the run fits, and how will they deal with quarterback run? And we'll find that out right there in the first week as you're playing Thomas Castellanos and Gus Malzahn. Gus Malzahn's going to torture you with 3 yards in a cloud of dust, misdirection, and quarterback run. I think they're going to finish better than 7th, but it's really how well that they fit the run. Now, in the pass game, the defensive backfield is really, really talented. And I knew you're going to get a guy like Dijon Lee, true freshman from California, on the field. And really, it's going to be a rotational system on the back end. How does Xavier Brown, how does Damani Jackson? I mean, those guys are your incumbent starters, and you're hearing smoke signals that Dijon Lee's pushing one of those guys out or moving one of those guys to the Husky position so that they have to play the nickel because Dijon's playing so well. You bring back Bray Hubbard, you bring back Keon Sabb on the back end. You got Xavier Mincy as well, who's going into his 2nd year in the system. I think the defensive backfield is going to be really, really, really talented. So will the other teams be patient enough to play the underneath game? And I think that you're going to force teams into playing really, really patient. And can you be consistent against this defense? That's going to be the big question. Will Alabama's defense turn you over? They turned a lot of people over last year. The sack numbers were just horrible, though. Bad, really bad. So really you want to see improvement in the getting after the quarterback in the sack numbers, and you want to see improvement in fitting the run, particularly in quarterback run situations.
So Joe Gaither is our guest this evening on the Alabama Preview Show. Now let's get to the schedule, and I want to talk about 2 games in particular in the non-conference. First off, you start off at Florida State, and then you welcome in Luke Fickell and Wisconsin. Talk about both of those non-conference games this season, please.
Well, I think the Florida State game is going to be a bigger challenge than most Alabama fans are considering it, at least today on Tuesday, August 19. I think that you're dealing with several elements that'll stack up against you. Not that Alabama's going to lose, but that it's going to be an uglier game. I think everybody sees 2-10 last year and sees the turmoil that was Florida State's program and thinks, oh, it's going to be a cakewalk win. I see elements, and the elements are the heat, elements are the environment. Alabama struggled on the road. We've already kind of covered that in 2024. You've been practicing in the morning, and the Tallahassee heat is a bit different than the Tuscaloosa heat, even though, look, the Tuscaloosa heat is pretty formidable. But you've had a more mild August than maybe you would have liked. And then you look at Florida State, you bring in Gus Malzahn. He brings his offensive line coach from UCF. They bring in 4 transfers along the offensive line. Does Thomas Castellanos really scare you? No, but I think his style pairs up with Gus Malzahn in such a way that they could frustrate you. And going back to Heath's question about the defense of the quarterback run situation, I think Gus Malzahn is going to have that pretty dialed in right from the jump. And Castellanos is a really good athlete. So I think it could have the potential of being an uglier game than maybe the average Alabama fan wants, but I don't think it's going to be a loss. I think Alabama is going to handle its business. The defense will have some challenges, but it's going to be the perfect challenge to really, hey, have we cleaned all this up this summer? Are we ready for all this? And then you look on the offensive side of the football. How will Ty play in his first start? How will Ty play in his first start on the road? He's played fine in all his instances so far. And obviously a lot of Alabama fans remember him saving that 2023 road trip game, the nasty road trip game down at South Florida. He did come in and save Alabama's bacon. So I think there's reasons to be confident in Alabama's offense, but on the road, in the heat, in the environment, will they start fast? Will they start fast and be consistent through 4 quarters? I think that's a big question mark, but I do think Alabama's going to win that game. And you ask about the Wisconsin game next. I'm not really concerned about that based on Alabama going to Wisconsin and kicking their rear end last year. I think that Wisconsin is a great name. A great Big Ten name, and Alabama's going to be able to put a Power 4 win on its resume. But I don't know if the elements are there for the Wisconsin Badgers to make that an overly challenging day.
So we've got to go to our last commercial break of the evening, and when we come back, we are going to continue to dive into Alabama's schedule and get Joe Gaither's prediction on how Bama is going to do in 2025. We will be right back. Has it always been your dream to build the pond of your dreams, but you don't know if property you own or are thinking about buying has a good location to build a pond on? You need to contact Honey Hole Fisheries right here in Tuscaloosa County, because Jeff Bagwell will help you decide if property you own or are thinking about buying has a good location to build a pond. You can contact Honey Hole Fisheries at 205-799-0192. Once again, that is 799-0192. And hey, Jeff Bagwell can also order top quality automatic fish and hunting feeders for all of your outdoor recreation. Contact Jeff Bagwell today, once again at 205-799-0192 to help you build the pond or lake of your dreams. With all of the recent tornado damage and storm activity here in West Alabama, Alpha Insurance and hometown agent Jeff Nee can help you personalize your insurance needs. Remember, the more you protect, the more you save. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi, you can count on Alpha to provide an insurance plan that provides the protection you need, the convenience you expect, and the service that you deserve. For all your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call Alpha agent Jeff Nee at 205-758-2577. Once again, 758-2577, or drop by their office on McFarland Boulevard East, Suite 101 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And remember, Alpha agent Jeff Nee, the more you protect, the more you save.
Want to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Download the Tide 100.9 app today.
Hey Tide fans, looking for something wild right here in Tuscaloosa? Bring the kids, bring your friends, and come to Bama Reptiles and Ranch in Northport. Just minutes from campus. They've got Asian water lizards, tortoises, colorful snakes, and for the horse lovers out there, ranch supplies. They are the cleanest and healthiest reptile store in the state. And their feeders? best you'll find anywhere. If you mention this Stingray Sports ad, you will get 10% off of your feeders. Remember, Bama Reptiles and Ranch, where exotic meets extraordinary. Welcome back inside of our final segment right here on the Alabama Preview Show. Before the break, Joe Gaither was talking about the Florida State game and the Wisconsin game in the non-conference. Now let's finish up the interview talking about the rest of Alabama's schedule.
Joe, I always look at everyone's schedule in the SEC, and I look at the off weeks and these cupcake teams to see who you're getting rest for, and maybe trap games later on in the season, this and that. But as you mentioned, you start at Florida State, and then fear the hyphen, Louisiana Monroe. I don't think anyone's worried about that billboard or T-shirt being reprinted anytime soon. As you mentioned, Wisconsin. Then you got the off week for Georgia. So you played probably a physical team in Wisconsin, but nothing over concerning. You get the off week before you go to at Georgia. And then you got that nice stretch at Missouri, Tennessee, at South Carolina. Then you get an off week with LSU, and then you have your last game, non-conference game with Eastern Illinois. So it looks like the schedule sets up nicely where some of these games are. I was a little concerned when you start the season with 3 non-conference games. No one else in the conference does that. So I was a little concerned at first, but then just kind of looking at how the schedule balances out, I was like, this schedule does kind of favor Alabama and their season here. With that, where do you think could be a hiccup in this schedule?
Really, I think at South Carolina is the first place you need to start because of where it falls in the schedule in between Tennessee and LSU. Now you get the bye week before that LSU game, but at South Carolina, you've already played your stretch of Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, and then you go to South Carolina. Will the team have enough gas to get through that 5-game stretch? And Lenore Sellers in South Carolina, I mean, they left points on the table last year here in Tuscaloosa. And I think that they're probably looking at that as a game that they really want to win and a game that could really send them into the playoff conversation if they've handled their business before that. So I look at South Carolina being the first kind of big pitfall. Obviously, Georgia is what it is. That's going to be a heavyweight fight. You respect Georgia, and I think that Georgia really revamped its wide receiver core this year, a place where they really struggled last season. I think maybe Carson Beck got more hate than he deserved based on inadequate play at the wide receiver position. They went out and addressed that in a big way. So Gunnar Stockton is set up for him to be successful. I think the Georgia game is obviously one where Alabama could find itself on the wrong end of things. Now, I look at the Missouri game as a pretty big point where it's a maturity test. Alabama last season had beat Georgia. Then you go up to Vanderbilt and you lose, and you weren't really ready for it. It was a mid-afternoon game that you just weren't ready for, that you didn't look plugged in for. Well, you're looking at Vanderbilt and Tennessee on Vanderbilt on the 4th and Tennessee on the 18th. Right in between there, you've already got the Vanderbilt and Tennessee game marked as revenge games. Oh, we got to get those back. Well, have you beaten Georgia or played a war with Georgia and then come back home and beaten Vanderbilt in your first revenge game, and then go ahead and stick your eyes ahead 2 weeks to the Tennessee game back at home thinking, oh, Missouri, we beat them 34-0 last year. They're not going to be this. They lost their quarterback. They lost Luther Burton. They lost all kinds of things. New transfer running back Ahmad Hardy looks like he's going to be a stud, but you've lost a lot on Missouri's offense. Are you treating it the same way that you treated Vanderbilt last season, where you don't go up to Missouri? It's an 11 a.m. game. You aren't plugged in. You're already thinking about Tennessee the week after. Are you treating that with its proper respect? There's nothing that Eli Drinkwitz would love more than to beat Alabama and to say, Nana Boo Boo, we're Missouri Tigers, let us in the playoffs. I think that that is a place that not a lot of people are looking at as a potential trap. So I'll go Georgia. It just is what it is. It's probably got to be number one just because of the quality of the opponent, where it is on the schedule, and being on the road. And South Carolina probably 2, Missouri 3, and of course Auburn 4. At Auburn, Nick Saban always struggled down there despite his record against the Tigers. Always had some struggle wins and some miracle losses. Kalen DeBoer's first trip to Jordan-Hare Stadium becomes a pretty big question mark for me. I think Alabama's road schedule is pretty brutal this year.
All right. So we've talked all about it. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Give us a record that you think Alabama will do in 2025. Coming off a 9-4 record last year.
I think that Alabama's going to end up at 11-1 is kind of my feel. I think they're going to drop one of these games, and it might be at Georgia, and then that lights them on fire, and they take care of business the rest of the way. It might be they've beaten Georgia, and they've run out of gas for that trip to South Carolina. They lose to South Carolina, then they get a bye week for the last stretch. I think 11-1 is kind of where I'm feeling right now.
Okay. And do you have this team making a deep run in the playoffs to get to the championship game, or is that going to be for next season?
Well, that's so circumstantial based on who's playing and who's in the playoffs and where those things are. Do I think that the team is talented enough to make a deep run and to win the national championship? Yes, I think that they're absolutely talented enough to do that. But it's just so circumstantial on, are they playing in the first round on the road, or is Alabama hosting a first round game? God, that'd be insane. That would be so much fun. Or does Alabama go to the SEC championship game? The schedules in the SEC, I think that's my biggest problem right now with the 8-game conference schedule, is that they're so imbalanced that you're looking at a team like Texas that has basically one big game on its schedule, 2 if you count Red River, and you should. But they're going to Georgia, and that's going to be their biggest hurdle. They get Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. Alabama doesn't get those 3. I think the schedules will dictate who ends up playing in Atlanta. If Alabama's in it, then that'll be great for them. They can get a bye, and obviously that'll give them some extra rest. I think Alabama does have the capability of making a deep run. Will they or won't they? Kind of depends on circumstances.
So, Joe, look, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you for taking time to join us on the Alabama Preview Show. And any final words that you would like to say about this season for the Crimson Tide of Alabama, the floor is all yours.
Well, just follow us at BamaCentral.com, Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. We do a daily show, the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. So we'll be talking about each and every game, bringing on some big guests, breaking down the games on Mondays, and really predicting games on Fridays. It's going to be a big season, Stingray. I can't wait to see it.
Roll Tide, man.
There we go. Hope to see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, that is going to do a wrap on the Alabama Preview Show. Really do want to thank Joe Gaither for joining us. Heath, briefly, looking at the schedule and everything that was just discussed, how do you have Alabama faring in the second year of Kalen DeBoer?
I won't break it down game by game. I'm just going to say better than year one.
Okay.
I think it's going to be better. I think Bama fans are going to be happier. I think they're going to be a little bit at ease. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is we saw them come out flat against Vanderbilt last year. Joe talked about that. They just weren't ready. They weren't prepared.
Right.
What if they come out flat again?
Yeah.
I don't think they'll come out flat against Florida State, but what if they come out flat against Wisconsin? Or what if they come out flat against Georgia and they get blown off the field? I don't see that happening.
Right.
But
or Missouri, like he talked about.
Well, I was about to say, what happens if you come out flat against Missouri and they beat you 2 weeks in a row and you take another loss to Tennessee?
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I'm only concerned about is if and that's a very big if, and I don't really deal with ifs. If Bama comes out flat one game, does it beat them 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah. So, Heath, that is going to wrap up the Alabama preview show. And for any Alabama fans out there, you may want to cover your ears because on the Thursday evening edition of the Stingray Show, we will be back at 6 p.m. when we are traveling to Knoxville, Tennessee, up to Rocky Top to see how Tennessee is going to fare without Nico going to UCLA. They brought in a transfer from App State, and we will just see how they're going to do in 2025. Can they build on going back to the playoffs? Because they did make the playoffs last year. We will find out tomorrow evening on the Stingray Show for the Tennessee preview show at 6 p.m.
Talking about Nico, man, that's a seven-figure selfish mistake, Steven. That's what that is.
Dude, we'll talk all about that tomorrow. I will leave you guys with this. Roll Tide. Good luck to Alabama this season.
I like Kalen. I think Kalen's doing a great job.
Yes. Just Bama fans have just got to back off of him and let him do his thing.
Well, it's America. They can do anything they want, even if it's wrong.
South's finest.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Labor Day sale and get 35% off paints and stains August 22nd through September 4th. With prices starting at $31.84, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.